Hello everyone, welcome to Music Talk Live number 38. Sounds incredible, but we've been here 38 weeks already with this format, without counting the previous one, so it's quite a bit. It's easy to say 38, but it's many hours, right? Thank you for being there all the time, and if you're new, thank you for joining us. Every Saturday, 6:30 p.m., I go live on YouTube, 6:30 p.m. Central European Time. I go live on YouTube and I do a live stream. And that live stream is usually about me teaching you something about music. Sometimes it's scales, like today. We did actually a few of the modes already. Sometimes it's about chords, composition, a lot of songwriting tips, some production, even the music business. We talked a little bit sometimes. Pretty much everything I know I tend to share. And I talk for a little while. Some people will say a long while. And then we do a Q&A. So I always try to answer all your questions, related or not to the topic. All right? So today, as you can see, I am live. I'm doing this live just as if I were live with you guys, but I'm pre-recording this, okay? But it's not going to be an edited video. It's the same video as always, but it's a bit different because it's pre-recorded and then set up as a premiere. So you'll be able to join the chat room, and I will try to be there with you as always, but I just won't be able to be here on Saturday at our time. And instead of skipping any videos, I try to always, keep my word of being here every Saturday for you, and here I am. The only thing is, if you have questions, leave them in the chat room or in the comments, and then I will certainly answer them in the next stream or during this one, but there won't be a Q&A, so to speak, because I'm just not there at the moment. And if you're new here, this is a series that we do every Saturday, and feel free to join the chat room. If you're coming from the future and you're catching up, there's 4 other videos on the modes, and this will be probably the last one for a while, unless we decide to do major and minor as modes, and we'll discuss it, but soon we'll start maybe with the modes from other scales, such as the melodic and harmonic minor, but I think we should branch out for a bit and then return. What else? Well, news from this week. Oh yeah, of course, the 21 Licks little book. If you haven't seen it, I released a free book, and it's 21 licks. It's called 21 licks, and it has 21, obviously, licks and riffs and musical ideas you can use to improve your technique, composition, improvisation. They're excerpts from songs, and you can use these songs to see, well, it's easy to talk about a technique, but how do you actually use it and put it into use? Well, this little book deals with that, all right? And it's completely free. You can find it down here. There's no registration. You don't have to give me an email. It's all, you just click on the link and it goes to a Google Drive thing, and you download the PDF and it's yours. You're free to share it, do whatever you want, but I do ask, if you would like to, if you see the PDF and you like it, enjoy it, and you let me know. All right, because it's a lot of work, as you can imagine, and I would just like to know if it's working for you, if it's not working for you. If you have any questions about it, please get in touch, because then it's not so much in a vacuum, right? Me writing the book, putting it out there, and not knowing what's up. All right. So if you feel like it, please do share with me your impressions, and with others. Of course, now that it's out there, the more people have it, the better. All right. So that's it. And by the way, a lot of you guys who are here are already using my 2 other books, the legato and alternate picking books. There's also links down there. And so this will make for a great companion to it. So don't feel that just because, the other ones, of course, are paid for books. I think they're pretty cheap, actually. But don't feel that this is like less than those books. This is actually, the 21 Licks book is very useful. So use it as a companion to the alternate picking and legato book. Sometimes you don't want to be playing exercises all the time. You need to kind of be like, okay, I want to practice, but I don't want to be playing the same exercise again. So it's great as a diversion, and it's also great as an application. So make sure you check it out, even if you have the regular books. It has nothing to do with those, all right? But it works great, together with them. What else? Well, that's it. Let's start. Let's start with the LOCRIAN scale. The LOCRIAN scale we talked about sometimes during the other videos, but it's the 7th mode of the major scale, all right? And so if you are in C major, the LOCRIAN scale is the scale that uses the same notes as C major, but its center is B, that's a root, and we go B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and that's our mode, okay? Because we looked at modes very often lately, I'm gonna go just a little bit faster today on some of the topics that are kind of the same. And I suggest that you watch all the videos on the modes, because I always try to take it from a bit of a different angle. And as you put them all together, I think you'll get a good look at the whole thing. All right, so if something is not 100% clear in this video to you, then I'm sure you'll find things that are in the others. All right, and so the Locrian mode is the seventh mode of the major scale. It's a peculiar sounding mode. It has two very strange notes in them, but one of them especially, which is the diminished fifth. And it's kind of similar to the Phrygian mode in a way, but it has that strange note at the end. So if I'm playing Phrygian, it's strange, but it's round, right? It sounds right. And the Locrian starts the same, but then it kind of goes a bit off. Okay, so the beginning and the end are kind of the same, but then in the middle you have the diminished fifth, and that's what we're going to talk about today. As far as uses, it's pretty hard to use. I won't lie to you. Some people say, well, there's a few songs in metal, but truly Locrian, there's not many. Bjork is often brought up when it comes to somebody who uses the Locrian in a song, but truly is not a very common mode, simply because unless you have a simple diminished chord, and that's it. As soon as you add more chords to the progression, your ear tends to fall towards those chords, right? For example, if I'm playing a C major, and then I go to F, this F becomes subject to C, correct? It depends on C. It's like, well, this F doesn't have the character of an actual chord by itself. It needs to go to C, or at least it has a relationship with C which you perceive as the root. And with a diminished chord, it's very hard to establish that chord as a center. It just doesn't want to be the center. So most people play Locrian on top of the diminished chord, but in a bigger context. So for example, if I have a progression that's C major, A minor, F major, and G major, right? Now, it's okay, it's muted because I have a bit of a distorted sound and it wouldn't sound great for chords, so I'm sure you can hear it. I play C, A minor, F, and G. If I play these four chords, I recognize them as a progression in C major. So I have the 1, which is C, I have the 6, which is A, and the 4 and 5 are F and G. And because they are 6, 4, and 5, their sound will sound dependent on the 1, which is C. So if I play C major over all these chords, technically speaking, I am playing C major on the first chord, A minor on the second, F Lydian on the fourth, and G mixolydian on the fifth. I'm doing that naturally, but I'm not really doing that because I don't have time for each of these chords to establish them as a root, as an actual tonic of the progression. The progression is always going to be in C, and these chords are going back to C. Their function is dependent on C. So I don't have time to establish, for example, this F as the root, as the place to where all other notes converge to, right? They all converge back to C. And so even if technically I'm playing all these modes, really all I'm doing is playing C major over a chord change. With Locrian, it's even more so. It's very hard for Locrian to be established as the central root of a progression because it's so unstable that it wants to go here. And it just wants to go there, there's no way around it. And so to really play Locrian, you kind of have to just jam over a diminished chord. And I will do that later just to show you the sound, but it's really not that often used. But you can certainly try it. You know, you can certainly try a progression that starts with the diminished and maybe has enough duration for each chord that it has time to establish the B diminished in this case as the actual root, okay? But if you start jumping from one chord to another, maybe every measure, your ear will start picking up some other easier chord as the root and your progression will kind of fall back onto that one, which is probably going to be a C major in the case of B Locrian, all right? So that's a warning, but it's a beautiful sound, even though strange, and I've certainly explored it very often. And we're going to start with the relative scale, okay, point of view, which we always look at. And you know what I think of it. You know that I think is great to begin with, but really is very limiting and you shouldn't really use it or depend on it. But relative scales mean that we can look at a mode as a major scale that begins on a different note. In the case of Locrian, the relative scales will be from the note right before the root. So again, if I'm in C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, if I start from C and end in C, of course I'm playing C major. But if I play the same notes as C major, which is all naturals, and I start from the 7th note, which is B, and I play B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, now I'm playing B Locrian, all right? Now, why is it useful? Well, it's useful because sometimes you just get lost, and sometimes you don't know what you're doing, and some modes are harder than others. And instead of saying, well, I will never be able to play Locrian until I understand and master everything, I can still try it, right? So if I'm going to do it in E again, just to have this little drone here. If I have an E and I want to practice E Locrian, but I don't really know much about E Locrian, then I can say, okay, wait, if E Locrian is the 7th mode of a major scale, E is the 7th of F. Okay, so I could, just to begin, I could play F major, and slowly start focusing on the E as the root. And technically speaking, you will be playing the correct notes. You'll be playing the right notes for E Locrian. But because your attention is shifted, it's shifted to F major, you will be kind of trapped into that idea, and it's already a strange mode and a hard mode to manage. And if you can't even see the right root and the right intervals that are strange, then you're going to have a hard time. So relative scales are really limiting, but they're good to begin. You know, they're certainly good to begin. And so I would just leave it at that. We talked about relative scales a lot, so this is my contribution for today. And I think when you watch all the videos on the modes, you'll get everything you need. As far as the more interesting way of looking at it, which is the parallel scales, then that's where it gets interesting, because now we're building a Locrian mode from scratch. I don't care what the root is. I don't care what the relative major scale is. I will just build it from the formula. And the formula is this. You have a root, a flat second, which is already kind of weird. The only other mode that has it is Phrygian. Then we have a minor third, which is good. We have a perfect fourth, which is fine, but then we have a diminished fifth, and then a minor sixth, and a minor seventh, or flat 6, flat 7. So starting from the formula of major, now this will demonstrate how different it is from major. Starting from major, you have the regular naming for a major scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means we use only major intervals, the major second, the major third, and the major sixth, and the major seventh, and the 2 perfect intervals, 4th and 5th. So we have root, major second, major third, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7th. This is exemplified by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's easier, right? It's faster. So if you just look at the numbers and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's a major scale. To make the major scale Locrian, so how do we build a Locrian scale? You have to lower the 2nd, the 3rd, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. Now that means that 5 notes out of 7 are different from a major scale. Because the root doesn't really count, because the root of course will not change, otherwise we'll be in another key. So of the 6 notes that are left, 5 are different. And that's why I suggest you stop looking at scales as relatives, because how can you relate truly a major scale to a scale that has 5 out of 6 notes that are different from it? It doesn't make much sense. You'll be playing the right notes, you'll be playing even the right fingerings, but you will have no idea of what makes the scale tick. What makes the scale Locrian if you're looking at it from the major standpoint, where it's so different as a scale from Locrian, right? That's why I don't approve of relative scales so much. But as a parallel scale, it's very interesting. And you know, the flat second and the flat 5, mainly the flat 5, but those 2 half steps there between the root and the second, and between the 4th and the diminished 5th, is where it's set. You know, and actually all modes, the half steps is really where the sound is found. You can now go back and look at all the other modes we did, and you'll see how the location of the half steps is what gives away the mode and its quality and its sound, right? So that's something very interesting to look at a bit beyond today's video because really it's a universal thing, and we'll look at it some other time. But check where those half steps are, and that's kind of where your important aspects of the scales are, all right? This brings us to the sound of the mode. It's clear from the parallel mode, from the actual formula. It's pretty clear where we're gonna find the interesting stuff. And so I'm gonna play it actually with a little keyboard. Now, because this setup is totally different from the one I use streaming, I don't think I'll be able to mute the microphone. So I'm just gonna put it a bit lower and talk over it, all right, as I improvise. And I think I'm just gonna play C Locrian. Well, if I do C Locrian, it's gonna be a lot of flats. So if you wanna follow along and you're not there yet, I'm gonna play actually in B Locrian, because B Locrian, it's only natural notes. Okay, so if you wanna try and see what I'm doing, I'm only gonna play the white keys. I'm gonna play B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and to do that I need a B diminished chord. So I'm gonna play B, a D, and an F. That's what I'm playing on the keyboard. So let's do it. That's a diminished chord. The only problem is I can't hear myself play, so I do apologize if it sounds like crap, all right? So if I just play the scale of B Locrian, I have of course my B, the flat second, minor third, the fourth. Now check out the diminished fifth, right? And then I have my minor six and seven. If I improvise with it, I might try to emphasize those two notes, especially the diminished fifth, but also the relationship between the flat second. Right? Okay, I'm not sure. I think the notes were correct. I don't know what it sounded like, but it's strange. It's pretty strange. And how do you manage it? Well, you have to be very careful. So if I were to play an actual melody, I wouldn't be playing like this at all. Now what I'm trying to do now is trying to show you the sound, right? I'm playing that flat five, I'm playing the flat second, I'm really squeezing it for all it's worth. But if I were to play a melody, this sound is a bit strange. So what I might do is actually play a lot less. I would play fewer notes. I would let the chord carry the dissonance, so the flat five, and I might try to stay away from it. I might try to ignore the flat five a little bit. So if I were playing in B, I would kind of skip this F. And maybe get there at the end, right? It's a pretty crappy melody, but you see what I mean? I'm kind of tiptoeing around it, and then at the end, or once, it doesn't have to be the end, but just barely give you that strange sound. And you can do it. If I were to do it over a single note, then there's no knowledge of that flat five, right? Let's try it. Let's play just a B. Just a B. And I'm just gonna skip the F, which is the diminished fifth, for a while. Okay, so that F there, it got in there at the last moment, which I think is too late. I think it's too late. There's no need at that point because it sounds so Phrygian. So let me do it again, but I'm going to edit a little earlier. So it's a bit better because the first time I waited a long time. And then the second repetition, I put it right there. And you kind of have to explore with it. Now, this is a very non-descriptive note. It's just a note, so it's a bit hard. Let's try now. Let's put the sound of the mode in the chord, which, oh, wait, my screen just went dead. Okay, good. Let's put the sound of the mode in the chord. So I'm going to play again the triad, the diminished triad. And now maybe I'm freer to skip the diminished fifth because it's already in the chord. See what I mean? Now the chord is taking care of it. So let's try it. I don't know, let's play kind of the same thing. So I'm kind of putting there, I'm putting it there as an afterthought. Right? Because I'm not afraid of it falling on Phrygian now because there is a flat 5 in the chord. So I'm not afraid of it sounding too Phrygian because even if I'm playing kind of a Phrygian thing, underneath it you have this note in the chord. All right? So it's pretty delicate, but I have actually done some really cool Locrian melodies, and some of them are in solos here and there in my records, but I have a new idea for a song actually that's in Locrian, and is a beautiful sounding melody, but it took me a long time because I don't want to be too strange because I get bored, and I don't want to be too simple because I get bored. And so it's a balance you have to find. But this is the sound of Locrian. So watch that flat 5 and watch that flat second, and please look at it as a true scale, not as a relative scale. It would really help you out. Okay, so this next section I'm going to go pretty quickly because it's about the positions, and we already talked about it. Okay, but I would suggest, as always, you start with the cage system if you want to start using these again. But try again not to look at it as a major scale, because the cage system, you'll see it really exemplified in the scale how truly the Locrian scale is a major scale starting 1 fret lower. And so it's hard to do it, but try to look at these positions as independent. So if I'm playing C Locrian in first position, this is C, and to a lot of people it will look like, oh, okay, it's the same as C major, just 1/2 step higher. No, well, it is, but 1/2 step higher from C major, what does it tell you? It doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you about the flat second, it doesn't tell you about the flat 5, it doesn't tell you about any of the sounds that make the scale, all right? So that's why you want to look at it as a C Locrian position. It's not a C major that moves up, it's not a D flat major, it's C Locrian. All right, and it's like this. And then you move up, you do all 5 positions. These are the 5 positions. Of course, you don't have to follow me. Either you know the cage system or you don't. We did a video on the cage system. I'll try to look for it or just search the channel. But it's beyond the scope of this video to teach you the cage system. We'll do plenty of it if you want. And by the way, I've been asked, and I know a lot of you who are watching are my online students. If you want lessons with me, I take on a few, not many, but there's a link down here, and you can get in touch with me. And if there's anything specific you want to learn, that certainly is not possible with my YouTube videos. I teach everything I know. I don't keep anything back on YouTube either. But it's just so hard to get to the same level with somebody because I don't know who I'm talking to, right? I know some of you, but I don't know. I haven't seen you play. I don't know your level. I haven't examined your playing, found your mistakes, find your holes in knowledge. So if you want, there's a link here to do that, all right? And what else? Okay, well, the other thing about the scales, I would then move to the 3 notes per string, which are useful and pretty easy. So I would play all the 3 notes per string. Right? I'm sorry, C Locrian. I was playing B Locrian, which I don't want to do, right? But I would play all 7 positions of the 3 notes per string. And then as soon as possible, I would move on to only 1 string. This is C Locrian on one string. It's 5 flats, it's a bit hard, but very important that you do it. Okay, so I would, as always, cage, 3 notes per string, and as quickly as possible move to the one string only playing. And if you have time, then you can do the strange thing with the 12 positions. Okay, so where each fret is a position, and we looked at that in another video. I'll link it. Okay, what else? Chords. Now the chord section for this mode is unfortunately quite small, and I say unfortunately because I love chords. And as a matter of fact, did I say it in the beginning? Well, let me repeat it if I did. The 1 chord a week series on Tuesdays, check it out. I feel bad for saying it so myself because they're my videos, but they're so useful. If you follow them every week, you will learn a chord every week, and in a few weeks you'll have a knowledge and a vocabulary of chords that you can't imagine. All right, not because my videos are so brilliant, but because they're in order, like they're there, and they're there every Tuesday, and you can't get away from them. So follow them. If it's not my videos, then do something else, a good book on chords. But really, I think those videos are the easiest way to get into chords, and without all the baggage, because I will just tell you why they work and how. So make sure you watch the 1 chord a week. It will really help you with these videos we do on Saturdays as well. All right, so they're there, they're just available, just watch them. They'll be good for you. Okay, so the chords, well, there's 2 ways as always as looking at the chords. One of them is, what chords can I use with the Locrian scale? Well, there's a series of chords, the harmonization of the Locrian scale, which means that if you take the notes, the correct notes of Locrian, let's keep it in B for now, which is easy. We have B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That's my Locrian scale. I build a chord over each of them, and this is what I would find. Diminished, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. That's the order in which I will find my chords. So in the case of B Locrian, I would have B diminished, C major, D and E are minor, F and G are major, and A is minor. Again, these are the same chords as C major. Well, of course, they will be the same chords as C major, but it's totally different. Your 1 is B, your 1 is B diminished, and it's a half step above a major chord, which you will never find in a major scale, right? Not from the 1 to the 2. And then all the relationships are screwed up. And so that's what you want to look at. You want to look at the order from the 1, which is diminished, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. Make sure you apply these 7 chords to the right notes. So make sure you have your formula correct, you have all the 7 notes of the Locrian, and then you apply these chords, okay? As far as what chords we can use to improvise or to play these scales over, there's really not many. There are a lot of diminished chords out there. So the diminished family is pretty wide when it comes to chords. And as a matter of fact, in the 1 chord a week series, we looked at a few, but we're going to look at more and more. And they're very interesting, but most of them, they're not really built on this scale, because, you know, there are many diminished scales. This is just the simpler, so to speak, because it's a diatonic mode. And so really truly the chord that I would suggest is the diminished triad. So the diminished triad goes like, let me play a bit cleaner. I'm sorry, I only have a distorted sound here. But this will be B diminished, right? Or you can look at it as a B minor here and lower the 5th. Right? And then the 7th version, the half diminished, okay, so which is the minor 7 flat 5. Which sounds actually rounder. The 7th version of the diminished chord sounds a lot rounder. And I don't know if the diminished video, I think, is not published yet, but until then, let me just give you these 2 positions, which are very simple. One of them you can try is this. You play in B, okay, you play 2, 4, and then 3 and 3. No, this is a minor, sorry. Why did I give you the minor major 7th chord? I got it backwards. You play 2, 3, 4, 3. Right, now it sounds right. This is a simple diminished triad. B, D, and F, okay? B, F, B, and D. So the 3 notes that you need. And then the 7th version of this is called the half diminished chord, or the minor 7 flat 5, and it's like this. So it's 2, 3, 2, 3. And you can record these in a looper. and practice your scales. Of course, wherever you move them, if I want to play D Locrian, then I have to figure out, do I know how to play it here? Do I know how to play it down there? Can I play it up here? You know, it's good practice. But you always have this chord underneath. As a matter of fact, I enjoy the sound of the minor 7 flat 5 in this case more than this regular diminished triad. All right, so that's my suggestions for diminished. Excuse me. That's pretty much it for today. I think I've been going for about 30 minutes, which, you know, in my case is pretty quick because I like to talk a lot. I don't really like to talk so much, but because I never talk to anyone, because I'm always playing the guitar, when I have a chance, then I think I go a bit overboard. So thank you for bearing with me, and I hope that this came out good, because it's a bit harder now with no feedback to know if I'm doing everything right. But I hope that it was at least decent, that you could get some information out of it, and you could get a feel for the mode. And that's all you're looking for, really. If I can give you a feel for the sound of the scale, and maybe light a little bit of interest in it, then that's fine. That's it's worth half an hour to me, and probably to you as well. If you haven't done so, or if you're new, if you're watching maybe from the future catching up, please do subscribe. It really helps me out, because this channel was very active, then it went dead because I stopped using it, and now I'm really trying to get it back, because I think some of this information is extremely important. Not all of it, of course. We all have our better or worse videos, but the sum of it, I think it will be very beneficial to many people who maybe can't afford a good teacher. And so if you could help me out with it, maybe spread the word a little bit, or just simply do subscribe, like, comment. You know, I usually don't enjoy saying it, but just so you understand that it's something that would really benefit the channel, and maybe eventually you, because I will keep doing it. All right? Check out, please, the book, the 21 Licks book is free, and it's here. You don't have to give me any information, just download it. It's a Google Drive thing. And if you enjoy it, there's links also for the regular books, the legato and alternate picking. And those will come in very handy, I think. And if you have questions, there's no Q&A, of course, because I'm kind of talking to you from the past, but leave them in the comments or in the chat room, and I will get back to you, and next week we'll do one. And I'm toying with a few ideas, you know, showing you how I use tape, which I don't know if it's a nerdy thing and only I'm interested in, or if you want to hear it. And maybe we'll go into the other modes, you know, like we said, the harmonic minor and melodic minor modes. Those are very interesting. There's so many things we can talk about. Please let me know in the comments what you would like me to cover, and maybe I'll follow your advice and your request. Maybe not, but at least I'll kind of know where we're shooting at. And the one chord a week every Tuesday, you can check that out. And what else? That's it, I think. I want to thank you for being here, because even though I'm not there right now, I know it's a Saturday afternoon and you have so many things to do, or Saturday morning, or Saturday late at night. I know some people watch it at like 3 a.m. You guys are crazy, but I really appreciate you. And I don't know, I look forward to seeing you next week in person, because it's much better. But I hope this wasn't too long or boring, and I will see you very soon with a new one. All right? Take care, stay safe, especially. And this is almost done. We just have to hang in there for a little while longer. All right? Have a great rest of the weekend and a great week ahead of you. I will see you next Saturday, or if you want to join me on Tuesday. All right? Have a good one. Bye-bye.